Hi, I'm Kevin Brown, and you're watching Visions for a Child's Heart.
Heavenly mothers crying, seas of children are dying at the hands of the other child. I know her heart is breaking, feel the earth is shaking, but rivers flow from the tears she cries. She cries, she cries. See Rachel's weeping for her children. Rachel's weeping. Somehow someone's got to save them. Save the children. And if you say that love the answer, why don't we begin? Or will we just end?
Hi, this is Miss Evelyn and welcome to Visions for a Child's Heart. You know my line. I'm so excited, but I really am excited today because I have one of my, he says he's my favorite. And you know what? He's earning that space. He has earned it. Anyway, this young man you've heard me speak of. You've probably seen him on one of our very earliest shows. And he is just blowing the whole country away with the work that he's doing. One of the things we'll talk about today is his brand new book entitled 10 Ways Anyone Can Graduate from College Debt-Free. So without further ado, welcome Mr. Kevin Brown.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad to have you. I'm so proud of you. You know I am. So I don't even know where to start. But I wanted to start with the book because I wanted to make sure that we got this in. And I got my own personal copy, and I'm just so pleased and so proud. But first of all, I think for our Vallejo family and members here, that the connection with Heart that we have at the very beginning, you were our very first recipient of the Les Brown Heart of Dreams and Tenacity Award. That was in what year?
2005.
Okay, so you were a
Junior.
junior? Were you a junior already?
Uh-huh.
Okay, wow. I was thinking it was younger. And you have fulfilled and doubly earned that award.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Plan to triply and quadruply earn it then. Gotta keep going, chasing the dream.
That's right. So then we're going to have an award called the Kevin Brown
Achievement? Achievement Award.
Legacy Thinking.
Legacy Thinking Award, I like that.
Okay, so that's going to be our next award. So for those of you who are watching, especially our young people, we want you to realize you have something to strive towards. And wait until you hear Kevin's story. So, you grew up here in Vallejo.
I did. I came when I was 5.
You were 5 years old.
Yeah.
And you came in to live with a foster family.
Yeah, my older sister and I were in a shelter, a closing shelter in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
The shelter, we were the last 2 kids to go, last 2 kids to have a family or to be wanted for someone to take us home.
Wow.
And so Mary Jackson came, she sat down with us for about 45 minutes. At that time I was very shy, or I just didn't care for people, so I only would converse with my older sister. And so she sat there and talked to my older sister for about 45 minutes because I wasn't talking, I was playing with some toys. And after about 45 minutes she decided that she was going to take us, and we came to Vallejo.
Wow.
And that's where my Vallejo roots started, right there in the 151 Kemper Street.
Wow.
In the Crest, Country Club Crest neighborhood.
Indeed. So what schools did you go to?
I started off at Elsa Wiedemann. I went to Loma Vista, went to I think like a Christian school for a couple weeks in Richmond. I kicked out.
I started to say that, but
Yeah, definitely. I was kicked out of that school. Then I went to Solano, and then I went to Jesse Bethel. And then from Bethel I went to Clark Atlanta University.
Yes. And that's about the time that I came in. And when we talk about being the village, I was just sharing with Kevin earlier that his life is a true example of the village, because I didn't meet you until you were, what, 16 or 17?
Yeah, about 16 or 17.
And
I was
so,
from you.
I know.
I was running away from you.
And I met him at the Continental Omega's Boys and Girls Club with Mr. Stewart and Mr. Graham.
Yes.
And he was already well on his way, but and I write about it in my book. And actually we both talked about in my book about that initial, connection was, or initial non-connection. So he said he was running from me. Why were you running?
Just being a teenager, you know, just trying to do other things. It actually didn't have anything to do with you. It was just kind of like, you know, just being rebellious.
So then when we did talk, what happened?
I feel like we just connected.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things, you know, especially dealing with you, and is that number one, you're loving, and you're non-judgmental. And I feel like in adults at times, you know, those are two qualities that are hard to come by, and so that makes it easy to talk to you. And then before you know it, you know, you just make yourself available and willing to do whatever it is that you need because you see that you actually care about another person, or that you cared about me. So then, you know, it turned into a situation where I was actually, you know, seeking you out, or just always knowing that, you know, you're someone who I could pick up the phone and call. Even as an adult, you know, we don't necessarily talk every day or every week, but when you tell me that you need something, or when you call me or anything like that, then I'm always make myself available. You know what I mean? But I feel like that's because of the type of person that you are. And I think that you really embody the heart lady aspect of your name.
Thank you.
Very loving.
What makes me happy is because you are the manifestation of my work and my dreams and my heart desire. So this is all I wanted to do. And I remember I told you one day I was tired and I said, you know, I don't want to do this anymore. You said, well, what do you want to do?
Right.
And I was telling you, and then the next time we talked, you said, well, why are you doing it? That's not what you told me.
Right. Yeah, I remember I was on the phone. We were talking on the phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it just really makes me happy. Even just when I hear your voice, or when I look on Facebook and see something you're doing, it's like, look at her. And I try to be careful to not feel like I take on the credit for it, but you've done more than the sons that I raised done. And so I'm just so proud of you. And I saw that in you even then when you didn't want to talk. And I mentioned in the book that we talked about certain things, but when you start talking about dreams and vision, I saw your eyes light up. And I saw that you were determined, that you were not going to be just an everyday, you know, person just hanging out, you know, that aged out of the foster care system. So you had dreams and goals, but you weren't sure how you were going to connect them. And you were sharing with me today, we actually had the opportunity to spend time with Les Brown earlier today. And as we were walking to spend time with him after he spoke, you said, what?
I'm not sure.
You said that you wouldn't have been doing this had you not met Les.
Yeah, had I not met Les. So the Heart of Dreams and Tenacity award that you gave me, at that time, I didn't necessarily know who Les was. And I remember that he promised that he would buy my ticket to go to study abroad in London, England. And he followed through on that later on that year, the next year. So I said, you know what, this is a guy who keeps his word. And I thought that was a big deal. You know, the ticket was not cheap. And then you took me on, for my graduation gift, you took me on the Les Brown Cruise to Greatness, where I got to experience, you know, him more as a speaker and as a professional. Not that he wasn't a professional at the foster care event, but it was just more time with him, and then actually seeing him and how dynamic he was. And then after that, I had the opportunity to go and work with him at his office in Chicago. And, you know, I got up during the cruise and gave a speech. I just thought that it was something that I could do. And then Les said, well, you know what, I think that you can do this. And he just kind of encouraged me, and you had encouraged me, and I think my aunt had encouraged me to be a speaker. And I said, nah, I'm into the fashion designing, I am a clothing industry all the way. And so that's what I stuck to. And then I moved to New York, you know, where you definitely helped me like tremendously. I don't even think I would have moved. I would have moved to New York under very different circumstances had it not been for you. This young lady here paid my rent, found me an apartment, paid my rent 2 months, and told me, I believe in you. I really don't have this $1,400, but I'm going to pay your rent, and I know that you're going to get there and make me proud. And I got there, and I'm going to be honest with you, I could not find work. After that 2 months was up, actually the lady who we rented from, well, I don't really want to go that much into it, but I basically ended up not finding work, and so I ended up sleeping out on the outside, on people's couches, on the train, because I wanted to make this happen because Miss Evelyn had invested in me, and because other people in the community, the village, had invested in me. So I took it upon myself to make those sacrifices of comfortability in order to get to live my dreams. And from there, I got on with the clothing company, and I was a janitor during the day. I was up at work from 6 to 12:30. Then I would go work at the clothing company from 12:30. I was there from 1:30 until lots of nights, 2 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning, various different times. And then as I worked there, then I learned that I wanted to help impact people in a different way and help those who come from similar situations like myself, or help those who kind of feel like that they can't overcome anything. And so I decided to start actually looking into what you guys have been peer pressuring me into doing. And so I went and I checked out all these books in the library on public speaking. And then I read them all. And then I went and checked out more books. And then I started researching, and then thought about the books that Les had in his library, and the impact that he had, and watched a lot of videos on him. And so all these different things I started doing. And then I had a friend who's a speaker. And so I started I started consulting with him. And then I put together a message, and then, the ball kept rolling, but it was all of this work on top of work, because oftentimes I was working my day job, then going to the clothing company, and then doing that on top of it. And, but like you said, that determination, but realistically, it's about being willing to put up the sacrifice and really to put in that work, but, all to make your investment, a dividend,
And a multiplier.
Yeah, and a multiplier, absolutely.
Yes,
a multiplier.
yes. Yeah, and I recall some days you're saying, I'm not doing enough. I said, well, don't be too hard on yourself. Listen, it's been a year. I need to be doing this. It's like you push. And it's like, wow. It's like, you're okay. It's going to work. It's going to work.
I don't believe in okay.
Yeah, we figured that out now, because he gets on my case now about things being mediocre. You're going to send this out like this? This doesn't look professional. But one of the things I want to go back to, then we'll lead up to what you're doing now. You graduated from Clark, double major.
Right.
Tell us what your majors were.
I studied fashion design and business supply chain management. I ended up with 178 credit hours. Most students just graduate with 122. So I took a lot of classes.
Yes, you did. And I told this story before, but I remember after your first year at Clark, you came home and you had your transcript.
Right.
I should have brought it with me. I still have it.
Because of that C? I had a C first semester.
No, but it was practically all A's for the most part. Maybe that wasn't the first, it was after the first year.
Yeah, so what had happened, I believe I received a 3.4, and then I received maybe a 3.8.
I was going to say, it was up there, it was over a 3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. But
And
the first semester was
we read the Boys and Girls Club, and he passed it out, and it's like, I was just screaming. He was like, what is your problem? But I took it home, and I showed it to Auntie Val, and I kept it, and I still have it. It was like, oh yeah. She said, oh yeah, he's going to get care packages every month. But I was proud of that. So you were a double major with honors.
Oh yeah, I graduated magna cum laude. I played on the men's basketball team. What else did I do while I was there? I participated in different student organizations.
Didn't you do something with MTV?
Yeah, I was host for MTV for a little while. Studied in England, and lots of other.
And that's the neat part. You were balanced. There was balance. You did some things that for activities.
Right,
you did for your health, for recreation. You didn't give up your hooping.
No.
And
I was running my own clothing company too.
That's right, because I remember you sponsored your first fashion show.
Right.
Yeah, I was all excited when I got that information.
After overhearing my friends talk about Sallie Mae and the different student loans and how it's affecting them and things like that, I felt that I had to write this book on how to graduate from college debt free, because they were talking about it. My first question was, why do you guys have loans? And they were saying, well, how else are we going to pay for college? I was like, man, you can find different ways to pay for college. I was like, I didn't have any family support or anything like that, but I did it. And like, man, do you realize that doesn't happen? How hard that is? I said, well, you know what? Let me help somebody else out that might be able to use the information. And so I wrote the book, and in the beginning of each chapter, it actually tells you how to use a strategy, but then in the back of the chapter in italics it tells how I use the strategy.
Okay.
So everything in there is written from experience. But I said, you know what? Somebody has all 10 of the steps that I used. That's not enough for them, because then you still have to go and look for scholarships and things like that. Strategy number 5 is apply for scholarships. I said, you know what? I'm going to handpick over 100 scholarships and put them into the book. And that's why also inside of the book, there's $10 million worth of scholarships in there.
Wow, that's amazing. And you know, I've never seen anything like that except for, I think, every year, I think it was Ebony magazine used to put down, you know, a list, you know, the scholarships and
Right.
things. And I know that I'm on the mailing list for the historically black colleges and universities, and they will send out information. But young people really just don't take a lot of time, and if the adults don't know, the kids are not going to know
Yeah.
how to. So I think it's awesome. And so as a result of your writing the book, what are you doing?
As a result of I'm traveling across the country, doing seminars at different colleges and universities and with high school students and parents, enlightening them on the options and what it looks like, you know, from a realistic point of view when you're trying to when you start your debt-free college journey, as I like to call it.
Okay. And I remember you said, when you were getting ready to go to school, you said, if you had to take out loans,
I'm dropping out. It's in the first page of that book. If I have to take out a loan, I'm dropping out. See, that was a conversation though that I had when I got to school. One of the guys, I overheard some kids saying that I have to go back home because I don't have the money. I don't have $20,000, and I can't, you know, I can't get approved for the loan. And so I looked. I said, $20,000. I don't like to owe anybody anything. And my hall director at the time, Dr. Raphael Moffitt, he said, we were all there sitting talking. I said, man, if I have to take out a loan, I'm dropping out. He was like, man, what are you talking about? You better finish. 80% of the students here are on student loans. I thought about it for about 2 seconds. And in typical Kevin fashion, I said, if I have to take out a loan, I'm dropping out.
Okay.
I can't owe
All these
anybody
other
anything.
people.
Right. And what they do doesn't affect me. But if I have to take out a loan, I'm dropping out because I'm not paying you back this plus interest. That's a lot.
because you would have been paying until you were 50 years old.
Probably it's possible to be paying past that. But it was not an option. And that's one of the biggest things that I feel like someone who's wants to embark on their debt-free college journey is you have to be willing to sacrifice, which is strategy number 2, you know, and you have to understand what areas you're going to have to sacrifice in, you know, so you're going to spend time away from home and things like that. So you can't come home if you're far away from home for school. You can't come home every single break and things like that. You know, sometimes you have to get a job during those off times in order to make up the money for the loans and things like that. You know, sacrifice time hanging out, sacrifice luxury things like going out all the time and things like that. There were times, man, where I had to just eat top ramen or I was eating a lot of oatmeal. But you know what? It was all worth it once I graduated because I can literally move anywhere I want to and not have to worry about anybody calling me telling me that I have some type of debt or that, you know, because oftentimes people end up in job situations because they have to start paying back their loans. It's not necessarily what they want as a career, it's what they want as a job. And so, you know, it's going to take some commitment, but it can be done, and I'm living proof that it can be done.
And I think one of the characteristics that are important, not only just the belief, the determination, but being willing to accept delayed gratification.
And being resourceful. I think there are a few things that are really big assets that I've learned. I feel like Ms. Wilson really taught me how to be resourceful in terms of understanding gatekeepers and understanding that, okay, if the option's not right in front of you or if the answer's not right in front of you, then go find it. If there's somebody else doesn't know, then ask somebody else. And then you just continue to go above that person's head until you get the actual result.
And you mentioned Ms. Wilson. Tell our audience who, and give a shout out to Ms. Wilson. Tell who Ms. Wilson is.
I love Carrie S. Wilson. She was my 9th grade photography teacher, and she's actually the reason why I ended up in school. So Ms. Wilson, when I was in 11th grade, I was playing basketball with Jesse Bethel, and we had finished up a game, and so I was walking, and she said, "Kevin Brown, are you going to college?" And me being with some of my teammates, I looked back and said, "Nah, I doubt it. I don't have any family, and if I do, I'll probably just go to a community college." And Ms. Wilson replied, "Oh boy, you going to college?"
Hello.
And I was like, okay. And so she took me into her office, and over the course of that year, you know, she taught me how to fill out my college scholarships, my FAFSA, college essays. And when we got done, I was accepted to over 27 colleges and universities.
Wow.
But I think what's even more important than that is that, well, what allowed that to happen rather was the fact that Ms. Wilson carried some of the same qualities that you do, which was that, you know, genuine kindness, actually caring, and being non-judgmental. You know, because she could have very well said, well, you know, these foster kids, I don't really, you know, once we started to get into my information. Or, you know, and I also think that she allowed me to grow. Like, she could see the end result, so she allowed me to grow. But also, me, myself, and I think that one big thing about us when we're young is just young people, period, sometimes we're not available to listen. We don't allow ourselves to be sponges. And I feel like that was one of my bigger assets, is that if somebody told me something and they knew more about it, and I knew that they were a good source, I would listen. So I went to her office, and then I would go to my other classes and be like, I need to go to Miss Wilson's office. And I used to be in her office so much that you would think I was just skipping class, but I was actually in there.
Accessing information
And working. And that's how we got those results. But she paid for, you know, my application fee to Clark and to other schools and things like that. And she walked me through the FAFSA step by step. And all of that stuff made the difference and made it possible.
Yes.
Everybody needs a Carrie S. Wilson.
Okay. And that's my whole thing about the concept of the village. I got goose pimples even as you're saying that, is that we all play a part in that. And, you know, my book, it's Hard Work Being the Village. And I think at the beginning of your chapter, I started describing just the whole scenario, you know, of, you know, your mom, you know, Miss Mary there, and, you know, your sister, foster sister Kim, and your Mr. Graham, and Miss Wilson, and her husband, and her family, and your extended biological family. It was really overwhelming because I realized everybody had a piece in it.
Right.
You know, sometimes, you know, as adults, we can be a little jealous when our kids are doing things with other people, but when you realize they need all of us. They need all of us. And so what Miss Carrie did is probably something I probably could have done, but it wouldn't have been right there in my, you know, mindset to do it at the moment. I probably would have sent him to somebody to do it. But we all have a role, and we all have to invest in our young people. So, and we have about 5 minutes for this segment. Are you going to have time to do another segment with us? Okay. So, telling our audience what you're doing and you're speaking, tell us about your business.
Okay.
And what your mission is and how you're carrying that out.
Okay. Well, I'm now a public speaker and author. My business is Legacy Thinking Labs, which is a public speaking firm.
How did that name come about? I love that, Legacy Thinking.
Legacy Thinking Labs, because I think that you always have to be mindful of your legacy, what you're leaving behind. Thinking, thoughts. You should never have a shortage of thoughts, but you know, to constantly be thinking. So it's an action word. You know, you're constantly thinking, and you're thinking about your legacy. And then I think labs is because, you know, that's where a lot of great things happen. Inventions, you know, in labs. And wherever me and my friends are working at and things like that, we always call it the lab. Like, what are you doing? I'm in the lab.
Okay.
And so oftentimes your lab can move. So like when I lived in Atlanta, I did a lot of work in my dorm room. So I remember my dorm room numbers. And then when I moved to the boarding house, you know, that lab was 670. Now in New York, my lab is 412. So, you know, Legacy Thinking Labs, because we're always making, you know, cooking up something in the lab.
Love that.
With thoughts about our legacy and, you know, how we're going to impact others and how to be remembered is very important to, you know, to impact others positively. And I think that our responsibility is huge.
Yes.
With, because again, like if I moved to New York and just, you know, blew the opportunity, basically, you know, like the lead that you gave me, I feel like that wouldn't have been responsible of the opportunity that was given to me. So, you know, when you're thinking about your legacy and things like that, it's very important. And you have to leave a positive impact on others so that they then can lead.
Right.
Leave one also. And one of the biggest things, I even talk about this in my speech, which is called The Brand Within, but I talk about how your brand is a part of the experience that you give to others. And one of the beautiful things about that is, it's like, what you've done for me lives on in me. So long after, you know, you're gone, then somebody else will hear about the great stories that of the impact that you've had on me, just like I'm talking about Miss Wilson, just like I talk about you, just like I talk about Miss Mary and Mr. Fillmore Graham. So you guys as brands, the experience that you offer to others lives in me, which then lives on in other people because you continue talking and things like that. Just like with Les, he always talks about his mom, Miss Mamie Brown, with the sweet potato pie that you can't eat with your shoes on. That's her brand living on in him, and so that's what a part of my message is to my audience, is the brand within. My book is available on Amazon. It's available on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle form. Also on BarnesandNobles.com. It's on the Nook, and soon to be on iPage. My website is www.kevbrown1.com and mydebtfreecollege.com, which is the website for the book. And if somebody goes onto the website for the book and enters their name and email address, you can actually get a free video tutorial where I actually walk you through step by step on how to budget for each semester. And you can actually download an Excel spreadsheet that will crunch the numbers for you. Very simple, and it's really automated. And that's that. And if you would like to order the book, you can do so on those websites. But if you would like to order special quantities or bulk orders, then we offer special discounts at our home office. And the number to our office is 347-871-8273.
Say that slowly.
347-871-8273.
Awesome. I know you've enjoyed this interview. So check us out in another episode where I will continue to talk to Kev Brown about some other aspects of just his life and travels. He's been all over the world, beat me to some places. I've told him I've got to catch up with him now. So for young people who've listened, definitely just take note of what he said. There's always possibilities for you to fulfill your dreams. Don't let anybody tell you that, oh, that's silly, there's no way you can do that. You can do it. And for the adults, just realize that as we keep feeding into our young people, not everybody will take it on, but somebody will. And just know, as you do something special for a child's heart, it's more than worth it. So take care. Thank you for watching, and God bless.
Heavenly mothers crying, seas of children are dying at the hands of the other child. I know her heart is breaking, feel the earth is shaking, that rivers flow from the tears she cries, she cries, she cries.